I don't want to sound like a monster, basically,
Hmm. Yeah.
but last time we spoke, a lot of things became uncovered, which put out a lot of emotion that I should have had during the situations when they were occurring, throughout the years. But because of my lack of maturity, my lack of accurate comprehension, my lack of life experience, and my youth, um, like when I was younger, I really kind of was a robot, if you I was very programmed.
Hmm.
Um, and basically, like, when you're a child and you're being punished, you
Hmm.
just believe that you were bad, and so you're supposed to be being punished. And then once you become an adult or you have some real, because also not only were we pretty much taught that it was right that we were being, now I can just say it as tortured
Mm.
as a form of punishment. But to us as, children who, we didn't go to school. We didn't really watch, in my younger years, television because most of the time we were experiencing homelessness or didn't have a television because we were so poor or, um, the shows that we were able to watch was like Little House on the Prairie, you know, um,
Hmm.
shows that didn't really address um, discipline or religious beliefs, or there was nothing to like counteract what we were being taught
Hmm.
firsthand from our parents.
Hmm.
Um, so basically what I'm trying to say is I didn't have it the mental capacity and the knowledge in me
Yeah.
to know that I
Hmm.
was not being treated in a way that I wasn't supposed to be being treated.
Hmm.
So there it was never a, oh my God, my parents are evil. It was always I was bad, so I was being punished.
Yeah, you internalized what was
Exactly.
happening to you.
And
Yeah.
so now as an adult, I can look back and be like, that time I was severely beaten to the point that my hand got broken. All I did was take a popsicle from out of the refrigerator, from out of the freezer
Hmm.
earlier because I had been told that I could have one, but I took it out earlier than apparently I was supposed to get it, and so I got severely beaten. And
Hmm.
so back then, this is when I was 8 years old, it didn't occur to me the severity of how evil the act was that happened to me. So I wasn't able to process that. But
Yeah.
now, we discussed it last week, and I'm thinking about it as an adult who now has experience and awareness of what happened to me. And now all the feelings that I didn't get to have as an 8-year old, being
Hmm.
aware that I was just severely beaten for taking a popsicle out of the freezer.
Hmm.
I'm now having that feeling now as an
Right.
adult, and I'm now experiencing that emotional pain. I'm now seeing my parents as monsters, and I'm now hating them the way
Hmm.
that I should have hated them all those years ago, but I
Hmm.
didn't. And
Right.
so that was just one situation. But there's literally, I was talking to my sister, and I'm like, I was severely abused. We were severely abused
Hmm.
from the time we were like able to walk, and even younger than that, until we left home at about, like, I think at like 16. But like
Mhm.
my mother stopped physically abusing me at like 15, but I didn't stop getting abused by my older siblings really until I moved out at like, I think I was like literally 18 when I
Mhm.
actually moved out. I was 18. But my point is that what I don't think that I'm traumatized by the abuse I withstood from my siblings as much as it is my parents and being ignored during, like, never being defended from the abuse of my older siblings and it just being ignored. And so it's like the pain that I'm carrying, it's not just from, it's literally being beaten over 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And then it's like slowly having like drips of memory, but
Mhm.
like realizing that my body has been through shock trauma
Mhm.
and I literally have like ghost pain, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Like I can still like I can I have a I don't even know how to describe it, but I have a haunting memory of pain in my butt, in my
Mhm.
bottom, from all
Mhm.
the times that I was like, is this, am I ever going to stop being hit? Is this ever going to stop? And then like the dialogue that they would go through, like I'm not ready to like get into it, but I'll like get
Right.
into that later. The
Mhm.
things that they would say while they're hurting us,
Right.
and
Right.
like have us standing in a line watching each other be beaten and like knowing that you're next, or
Right.
knowing
Right.
that after you watch three of your siblings be beaten, you're going to be beaten too.
Mhm.
Or after you watch five of your siblings be beaten, you're number six.
Right. Right.
And it's like
Yeah.
the torture of, like, it's so much to like, it's like an iceberg, but then only knowing that you have to address one ice cube at a time of
Mhm.
this iceberg,
Mhm. Yeah.
but feeling the entire iceberg on top of you.
Mhm. Feeling it all at once.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's like my mom texted me yesterday, and it's like they were a team of demons torturing their own children, but I can't hate her because of a whole bunch of situations, that I can't really address in one sitting.
Right.
But then it's like I hate him, but then it's like I hate them, but I also care about them. And sometimes I even feel like I love them, but then it's like every time, I promise you, every time we have these sessions, I hate them so thoroughly.
Mhm.
And then it's like later on, cause it's like you have to consider someone's entire life. You can't
Mhm.
just consider what they put you through.
Mhm.
You have to consider why they put you through it.
Mm.
And I do, because I care about my parents, but
Mhm.
I'm no longer at a place where I can say I love them, because I know
Mhm.
for a fact that I don't anymore,
Mhm.
because I have to try to figure out, when I look at my daughter and I look at my nieces and I see them being so small, and I realize what they did to me when I was this size, when I was this
Mhm.
age.
Right.
And it's like I can tell myself they were fucking retards. They were stupid, they were lacking in education. But when I hear my mother just 4 years ago laughing about it, you know,
Yep.
and it's like it wouldn't be fair for me to like expect her to like have a conversation with me about it today and like apologize for anything when her other half he doesn't have to go through. And he's so fucking stupid. Like last time I tried to talk to him about it, he didn't even get it. Like he has doped himself up on so much drugs throughout the last 30 years of my life that he has convinced himself of a totally different reality, you know.
Yep.
Like he actually like told me 4 years 5 years ago, last time I saw him in person, that he raised all of his children until we were adults. And I'm like, no, the fuck you didn't. Like, how are you gonna sit here and try to tell me that you raised me when I know the fuck that you walked out on me when I was 12 years old was the last time that you were in the house, and when you were breaking in and selling my fucking bike for crack and stealing the infamil from my little sister when we had no food. Like, but he's literally like, and that pisses me off so much. It's like not only did you torment, torture, and destroy the life of 12 people, but you've smoked yourself into an abyss and into a blissful reality that you can somehow live with yourself and actually be proud of yourself for shit that didn't happen. And like you don't have to face reality that you are a terrorist, that you are a fucking monstrous demon who abandoned your kids, came back, broke in, stole what little we did have, cursed us out, smoked drugs in front of us, called us little bitches, you know, called us whores, and left. And like fought my mom for what little money we had. Like you fucking stole our food stamps. Like you were a piece of shit monster. And then you go and you smoke crack and create this false reality in your mind so that you can feel like you're a good person, so that you don't ever have to worry about what the 10 daughters that you gave birth to, what type of life we have to live without a fucking father who never taught us to protect ourselves or respect ourselves. But you get to go smoke crack and like create a reality that you were a good father. Like, what the fuck? And then it's like, it took me all of my life to where I even started like thinking about what a fucked up piece of shit he is. Like I actually loved him up until this year. And I'm pissed at myself for loving this fucking deranged monster. But then at the same time, it's like, is it like, will I be a deranged monster if I ignore what turned him into a deranged monster and just hate him?
I think that I hear a lot of self compassion going on, and when I'm listening to you talk about this, and just your concern overall for how you treat your own child. And I'm hearing like a drive to break the pattern that has happened in your family. Does that seem true to you?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And when you say, I think in the beginning you were talking about how part of you that is like recognizing that in the moment, when you're 8 years old, you didn't know the response that you're having right now to what was happening to you. It's like you're giving yourself some compassion for the little part of you that went through all of that, right?
Yeah,
and you had
exactly.
nothing to compare it to. Like you said,
Exactly.
you weren't watching shows or anything like that that showed you what was right or wrong to be treated as a child, right?
Disciplined, yeah. Like
Yeah.
there was nothing that's like, hey, your parents shouldn't force you to take off your
Mhm.
clothes and bend over a chair and hit you until their
Mhm.
arm with all of their fucking might, a big ass man beating you with a fucking wooden utensil,
Mhm. Yeah, you
you know,
didn't know.
until your hand is broken and you're screaming and they're forcing you to stay in that position, or bend over and touch your toes as they
Mhm.
fucking beat you
Mhm.
and make you think that you deserve to be beaten this severely for practically nothing.
Yeah. 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 Those are really big scars within you. Really big. And I think it's really like common for folks who have survived this kind of trauma to have that pain like stored in parts of their body. You talked about ghost pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very common. And, I wanted to bring this up that, processing your trauma can really, in a lot of people, increase some of those symptoms. So you might feel a little worse before you feel better.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah, and what's going to be important through this process is just paying attention to your capacity, that you don't have to rush anything. And if you're needing more like tender care on one day than another day, it's okay. Whatever pace feels right to you. And I think it might be important to, I guess, like develop some things that are meaningful to you that help you feel safe and grounded through this experience.
And that's the thing, like, I don't know what feeling safe feels like.
Mm, yeah. How do you how do you hold on to something that feels safe if you don't know what that safe feeling feels like in your body? That is a huge question for a lot of trauma survivors. And I think that one way we could help develop the sense of safety is through either A, creating a safe space that you imagine in your mind, or we can think about times where you have been somewhere that brought a sense of calm to you, even if it was just like at the beach or in in the woods somewhere where you were taking a walk.
One of
Um,
the reasons that I started to seek out a therapist is because every single night, so I've been sort of like suffering in silence, so to speak, for the last 10
mm-hmm,
years. And I was having such severe panic attacks that I was literally shivering. Like I would spend the entire day shivering in terror
mm-hmm,
for no reason. Like I isolated myself from everybody. Like I couldn't go to work anymore because every time I would go to work, I would start feeling like the people at my job are plotting to attack me.
mm-hmm,
Um, so I like pretty much stayed home. I would go to school. If I did go to work, I that job would end very shortly after. I didn't necessarily realize like what I was dealing with, and I'm still not completely certain, of like what I'm dealing with. Um,
right,
thankfully, like the severity, like I think the peak of my physical, I guess, outbursts, if you will, of
Mhm.
trauma has sort of like improved a lot.
Mm.
I don't shiver in terror anymore. Um,
Mhm.
I am now. At first, I wasn't even able to like have a friend sit over my house. Like I wasn't able to
Mm.
like be alone with people.
Mm.
Um, I had to like be in like a actual like public setting.
Mhm.
Um, but recently I like had I met a neighbor and like she came over and like I felt like what goes through my mind is like if I'm sitting and talking to someone, I will start like imagining them just getting up and starting to hit me, like attack me for no
Mm.
reason.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so this did happen. Like this is the first time last week that I actually was like, okay, well, I feel like I can now, like I want so badly to have friends.
Yeah.
So I like, she's like, oh, she doesn't know what I'm going through inside. She doesn't know that we're standing there talking and like I'm imagining in my head her like attacking me and like just hitting me.
Mhm.
But so like
Yeah.
I let her, come over. She like smoked weed on the couch and like I made her some tea and like I sat next to her and we like just talked about stuff. But like the
Oh.
whole time I have to like convince myself
Mhm.
that she doesn't want to start punching me. That she doesn't want to
Mm.
start hitting me.
Yeah.
And
It's a
so
lot of
like
work on your part.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so like it felt really nice, but at the end of the day like it's like I'm crazy because no one knows. Like I'm sitting here all calm and it even kind of like was a little bit amusing to me because I'm like she doesn't know what's going through my mind. Like
Right.
as we're
Right.
talking, as she's sitting there telling me, about her boyfriend who like got out of prison and like he hadn't called her. And I'm sitting there like thinking she doesn't know that in my mind she's getting up and hitting me with the cup of tea that I
Yeah.
gave her.
Mhm.
And like I'm having to sit there and like listen to her but convince myself that she's not going to attack me. And I
Mhm.
know like she has no desire to attack me.
Mm.
And so I have to keep telling myself this, but it's like at the same time, what's annoying to me is that I have to sit here and tell myself this girl doesn't want to hurt you. She just
Yeah.
wants to make a friend just like you want to make a friend.
Yeah. I think
And
it's really um really positive that you can at least be in this place where you know what's going on. You know, okay, this person is probably not going to hurt me, even though, my brain is like, yes, this person's going to hurt you. And you're able to sort of maintain, but it's draining.
very, yes.
But
It's
you're moving sort of in a direction where you're holding a tolerance for this thing you haven't been able to do. You haven't been able to be alone with people. And so you have a little bit of tolerance now for holding that space. But it's still draining. And I think, the more you're able to hold that tolerance, the more that tolerance window will grow, if that makes sense.
no, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But I see you, I hear you, that it is absolutely draining to be having this sort of double experience of okay, I'm having a time with this person. I'm finally, enjoying a moment with a friend. And I'm also dealing with what's going on inside my head.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it kind of like it makes me feel really, really bad because in a way, in a very real, actual way, it is victimizing to people who are just trying to socialize with me. Um, and it has happened on multiple occasions. Like, during sort of the biggest time where I was like all the time paranoid. Like one of my sisters came over that excuse me. I haven't I hadn't spent time with her in a long time. And she came over to my apartment. And this is like shortly after I had my daughter. And she was just, this is like someone who has supported me so much. Like she supported me so much. She's been there for me so much. I've lived with her during a time where had to isolate myself from the world, during the time where I literally was like shivering every night in terror and crying every night. And I didn't get up. I barely ever showered. I barely brushed my teeth. I barely ate. I went down to 104 pounds from just, I like pretty much, I was going to unalive myself. And this is the sister who discovered it and intervened and said, you know, just give yourself until this age at least, you know. And so what I did was I decided that I was going to not unalive myself, but I was going to not exist. And so when I decided to not exist, I lived with her. And I like slept in her living room. And like we never really talked or anything, but I just like would lay in bed all day and like pretend like I didn't exist. But anyway, so years later, after I had moved out um, with my new child, like she came over to visit, um, and she was in the kitchen cooking, and I was in my room, and I started having a severe panic attack. And like I kept seeing in my mind her coming into my room with a pot that she was cooking with and tossing it on me and like beating me with the pot. And like I got so afraid, and I like tried to convince myself that she would never do this. But like all of these thoughts kept going through my body, and I became so terrified that I literally got up and I got my child and I didn't say nothing to her. I just left her there at my home. And this is like she drove like 2 states away to come visit me. And then I like called her and or text her, and I'm like, I like told her that I can't come home. And I'm like, I didn't tell her why, but I was like, you have to stay at a hotel tonight or I'm going to stay at a hotel tonight. And like that really hurt her, you know.
Yeah.
It victimized her because this is someone that I should trust. And I should have been able to talk myself down from the panic that I was experiencing. And know that she wouldn't hurt me or my child, but everything in me, nothing in me was able to convince myself that I was safe with her. And that's one of the situations where I feel the most guilty because like I really hurt her that day, you know. And the accusations that went through my mind, that I demonized someone who truly does not deserve it. And it's like this, it happens so frequently, but typically it was to like people that like at my jobs I couldn't keep, or like I disassociated myself with all of my friends. I wasn't dating, but these are like minor people. She's like top top of the totem pole person.
Yeah.
So me hurting her like that, it was pretty severe, and like it happened like 4 years ago, but I'm still hurt by hurting her like that. You know what I'm saying? And like even recently, I just had to live with her because of mental health issues, that I've been going through that resulted in homelessness again. Um, and again, she was there for me, letting me and my child living in her home for a year, rent free. I mean, I gave her rent anyway, but she didn't ask for it. I gave it to her, and I just I feel terrible. And so like this is one of the reasons why I had to force myself to get some form of help. And the sad thing is that I didn't realize, like, my mind, what goes on in my mind to me for so long was just the truth. Like it took me a long time to even admit that things are going on in my mind that are false. I'm Thoughts are going on in my mind that are not true. You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think, you know, what's going on in your mind really speaks to the trauma that you went through. You
Oh,
know,
for sure. It just
the
took me a
world.
really long time to connect the dots.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I love that you have your sister. I love that. It seems like she's been like a consistent supportive person
Oh
for you.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I really hope that, you know, you can come to a place where you forgive yourself for what you didn't know, you know, and just your own process through all of this. It takes so much to sort through this kind of trauma.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's what I was telling my sister. I was like, there are thousands, probably, of times from childhood to late teen years that we experienced physical, emotional, mental, psychological abuse, not just from the hands of our parents, but each other as well.
Yeah.
Because, being so many of us, there were times when we would gang up on each other, and not for short amounts of time. Like, I was so when I was younger, like our parents, they were very physically abusive, and so our sisters, I'm the seventh, and that obviously how many older siblings I have if I'm the seventh. Um, and so they kind of made a pact to where, like, because we would literally get severely beaten for very small things, like if the remote control was missing, or if it wasn't clean enough, or just any tiny little thing. So they kind of made a pact to sort of like just not tell who did it, so that our parents wouldn't know who was responsible for like breaking a dish, or who had the remote control last, or when we weren't supposed to be watching TV or whatever.
Right.
But then like my parents would like take me in the room by myself, and they would like question me and like force me and trick me and manipulate me and scare me into like telling. And so this is when I was like 2 or 3 years old. And so eventually my older sisters decided they would make a pact, um, called, my name did it. Me just say that I did it. And so when I was 3 years old, all of my older siblings, um, and my one younger sibling, all ganged up against me and decided that they were going to blame everything on me so only I would be beaten. And they shunned me so they wouldn't play with me or talk to me or be my friend. And this pretty much lasted from age 3 to about age 7 or 8, to where my own siblings like shunned me and refused to play with me and blamed everything on me.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, you know, throughout my life, there were obviously other times where, you know, we would gang up against one another, you know, and bully someone. And so, like, you know, a great deal of trauma was caused through pretty much every aspect, every area.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just looking at the time, and one thing, and it's fine if you don't want to do this today. But I don't see that anyone did a like GAD-7. Do you know what that is?
I
That
don't.
assessment
I
for
don't.
anxiety. And no one did the PHQ-9 for depression. And I'm wondering if you'd be willing to do those questionnaires today, just so that we have kind of a starting idea of like where you're at with
Yeah,
that.
sure, not a problem.
Okay, and doing it today is fine with you?
Yes.
Okay. So you're not a stranger to these assessments.
I don't know yet.
Oh, I thought you said that you had done these before.
I don't recall, maybe.
Okay.
I guess I'll know once you start asking the questions.
Yeah, yeah. You just
You're not the first therapist that I've spoken to, so if it's something that you guys do, then
okay.
yeah, I probably have had one before.
Okay. This one is for depression, and it's the overarching question is, over the past 2 weeks, how often have you been bothered by any of the following problems? And so for each thing, the answer is going to be not at all, several days, more than half the days, or nearly every day. So the first one is little interest or pleasure in doing things.
Pretty much every day.
Okay.
Every day is a
Nearly
force.
every day?
Yeah, every day is a force to pretty much move.
Okay. Feeling down, depressed, or hopeless?
Every day.
Okay. Trouble falling or staying asleep, or sleeping too much?
Trouble falling asleep and being and staying asleep. And it's got kind of gotten to the point where I don't even care to like go to bed. Like I have to, you know, put my child to bed, but I know that it's not going to be a pleasant experience for me for multiple reasons.
Yeah. Is that happening every day? Or?
Yes, for sure.
Okay. And then feeling tired or having little energy?
All the time.
Okay. Poor appetite or overeating?
Overeating.
And is that every day or?
Every day. I think that
Okay.
the only thing that I actually do find some pleasure in is eating, and that's a guilty pleasure because I have gained a lot of weight over the past couple months, and it's not healthy or making me happy, but I do tend to get excited over food, and that seems to be the only spike of joy that I can receive.
Okay. Feeling bad about yourself, or that you are a failure, or have let yourself or your family down?
Yes, all the time.
Okay. Trouble concentrating on things such as reading the newspaper or watching television?
Yes, I don't read the newspaper, but yes.
I think it's an outdated sort of
Yeah.
question. Moving or speaking so slowly that other people could have noticed, Or the opposite, being so fidgety or restless that you have been moving around a lot more than usual?
I actually keep myself pretty isolated. It's
Okay.
very rare that I have interactions with other people except like
Mm-hmm.
dropping my daughter off to daycare and picking her up or going to the
Mm-hmm.
store. But I do find myself like just kind of walking around and like sort of forgetting what it is that I intend to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So more about like being like not having concentration or
Exactly.
focus. Yeah.
Exactly.
So for this one, do you feel like you're moving slower or faster than
I've
usual?
caught myself a lot of times looking for something for a long time,
Mm,
and then I have no clue what I was looking for
mm-hmm.
or why I was looking for something.
Yeah.
And that keeps happening.
Yeah. Okay. And then the last question is thoughts that you would be better off dead or of hurting yourself in some way.
It's not really like I feel like since I'm already born,
Mm-hmm.
when I'm on, I often do wish that I never existed at all.
Mm-hmm.
But because death is an actual event,
Mm-hmm.
and it's also an afterlife and an after experience that I don't know what it would include. I
Yeah.
don't, I no longer desire death because death is something. Um, and as far as I know, it could be something worse than what I'm experiencing here.
Mm-hmm.
But I do often wish that I just never existed.
Yeah.
And
Which is
that's where I'm
different.
at. Yeah, I
Yeah.
just wish I were never born.
Yeah. So would you say for this particular question, not at all?
Yeah, I definitely don't want to experience the event of having to unalive.
Yeah. Okay. And then let me submit this. Thanks for holding for a sec here.
Yeah, not a problem.
Okay, and then we'll do the anxiety one. Find it. Okay, and this one will be similar in the answers, not at all, several days, over half the days, nearly every day. And the question is, over the last 2 weeks, how often have you been bothered by the following problems? Feeling nervous, anxious, or on edge?
Most of the time.
Okay. Would you say over half the days or
Oh,
nearly
for
every day?
sure. Nearly every day.
Okay. Not being able to stop or control worrying.
Yeah, constantly.
Okay.
But
Worry.
there's so much to worry about these days, though. I don't even
Uh,
think that's,
yeah.
know.
Yep. Worrying too much about different things.
Yes.
Okay.
But like I said, there's so much to worry
Mm-hmm.
about.
Trouble relaxing
Yes.
every day.
All the time.
Okay.
I don't think that I ever relax.
Mm-hmm. Being so restless that it's hard to sit still
Yes.
nearly every day.
Yes, all the time.
Okay.
Even if I am
Become.
trying to watch
Yep.
something.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
the only time I actually do sit still is when I'm on phone with you, but most of the time I'm walking around.
Mm-hmm. Becoming easily annoyed or irritable.
Oh, yes, every day,
Okay.
all the time, very
Feeling of
easily.
feeling afraid as if something awful might happen.
Yes. And I'm
Okay.
having nightmares every night.
Okay.
Still.
Yeah.
Except now
Sorry.
they're having a theme of a tidal wave, but sometimes the tidal wave isn't water. Like I had one where like it was a whole bunch of baby pandas came
Mm.
pouring into the house.
Mhm. Mhm. The last question, I missed it on the other one too, so I'm gonna have to go back. But it says, how difficult have these made it for you to do your work, take care of things at home, or get along with other people? And these are the answers: not difficult at all, somewhat difficult, very difficult, extremely difficult.
Extremely difficult. It's been
Yeah.
crippling.
Okay. Yeah. I think that makes sense
Yeah.
given all of your answers. Let me see if I can get back into the other one that I did so we can make sure to document. Uh-oh. Seems like there we go. My computer was freezing. Okay, now let me see if I can find that document again. So that was the... Also, it looks like you have an appointment with our psychiatric team tomorrow.
Yes.
I'm glad that they were able to set one up so soon with you.
Yeah.
That's
That
great.
well, it hasn't been so soon actually. I've been waiting for this for like maybe 8 months.
Yeah, yeah. I just mean, like, since I put in the referral,
Yeah. This
usually
is
it takes a few weeks,
you
so.
are like you are maybe the fourth therapist that I've been talking to in the last year since I've been trying to get medication and get like healing.
Mm, mhm. How are you feeling about the meeting tomorrow? Do you feel nervous at all, or?
No, I definitely don't feel nervous. I've been anticipating it, like I said, for a long time. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um, you're probably the first therapist that has actually, I mean, the one that I had before last, because I moved, she had to stop seeing me. And then the one after her was pretty much like talking to my plant.
Oh,
So,
yeah, yeah,
and then it was months, and now I finally have you. So,
yeah. Good. I'm so glad that things are lining up a bit.
yeah,
And hopefully, yeah, okay. So I think that for the depression one, my supervisor is gonna kick it back to me and tell me I didn't fill in the last question, which was, how difficult have these problems been for you? And so when he does that, extremely difficult, would you say?
yes,
Okay.
crippling.
um, yeah, and has so I talked to the folks with the dialectical behavioral therapy practice group. Do you remember us talking about that?
I don't.
Okay.
I'm having severe memory issues.
Oh, no worries. I understand. Yeah. We were talking about the tools that you could gain for dealing with emotional regulation. And that there's a group that our organization has, a support group that meets every week to practice these skills, and they're called DBT skills. And last time you had said you would like me to put in a referral
Yes,
for
please
the
do.
person that leads the group.
Please do.
And so check your emails because he's going to be reaching out to you through email.
Okay.
He did say that their just finishing up their first cycle and that they're taking like a 3-week break, but then they're going to start back up again.
Okay,
And
so
that's when
basically,
you'll be invited.
oh, in 3 weeks. Okay, that's
Yeah.
good timing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that'll be really beneficial.
For sure.
I honestly think like DBT skills in general are just like for everybody. It doesn't matter who you are. Like it can just be really helpful. So anyway, it looks like we're at time. Is there anything else before we go?
No. I will talk to you on Monday at 2.
Yeah, I got you on the calendar.